So now it turns to me to introduce the fourth speaker for the proposition to continue the proposition's argument in tonight's debate, Carla Lockhart, MP. Thank you.
Forgot to unmute there. Thank you very much, and can I thank everyone for organising this debate. I have found it very informative, and I suppose in truth I never fail to be shocked by some of the arguments around women's rights, and yet they don't take into awareness the rights of the unborn, and that both lives matter in every decision that is made. Let me begin with a number: 100,000. A rigorous piece of research validated by the Advertising Standards Authority found in 2017 that around 100,000 men and women are alive today in Northern Ireland who would not be had we embraced the 1967 Abortion Act. 100,000 brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, fathers, mothers, friends who are alive today because we, the people of Northern Ireland, had our own distinctive voice, and our voice was heard, choosing to celebrate and protect life in the womb. In this context, it is no great surprise that Northern Ireland's devolved life-affirming laws, which only allowed for abortion in tightly defined circumstances, should have been regarded as a matter of pride by many people in the province. Moreover, regardless of their view on the issue, polling in Northern Ireland adults from 2018 demonstrated that 64% of people in Northern Ireland thought it would be wrong for Westminster to seek to impose any change on Northern Ireland's abortion laws. In this context, it is no surprise when on the 9th of July 2019 there was an attempt to impose radical abortion law change on Northern Ireland, that 100% of Northern Ireland MPs who take their seats voted against a change in the law. It was, however, absolutely appalling that MPs from England, Wales and Scotland, who were not elected to represent Northern Ireland, were content to disenfranchise the people of Northern Ireland to vote to silence the voices of their representatives on a matter that not only pertained narrowly to Northern Ireland, but which was also devolved. This set a most disturbing precedent. It appalled me then, and it appalls me now. The views of the women and men of Northern Ireland are not monolithic on the issue, but the beauty of democracy is that every person has a right to be heard. In the consultation on the new regulations governing abortion in Northern Ireland, 79% of the 21,000 responses rejected the proposals set forward. In votes on these regulations in the Assembly, the place where representatives of the people of Northern Ireland act on our behalf, the will of that House made it very clear when in 2 votes, 75 out of 90 MLAs voted against allowing abortion on the basis of disability. Yet when those same regulations were put before politicians in Westminster shortly afterwards, these votes by the devolved Assembly on a matter that remained and remains devolved were completely ignored as Westminster voted to impose a significantly more permissive abortion law on Northern Ireland than pertains to the rest of the UK. Yes, that's right. Our regime is more permissive, allowing abortion for any reason, including the sex of the fetus, up to 12 weeks, something that is not lawful in any other part of the UK. It is, of course, as permissive as the rest of the UK in other respects, in that it allows for abortion on demand on the same basis as in GB to 24 weeks and to birth in cases of disability as in GB. Some have said that CEDAW required this dramatic policy shift, but I would remind each of us here today that the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women nowhere mentions abortion. In a 2017 Supreme Court judgment, the justices conclude that there is no human right in the international law to access an abortion. I quote, "The conventions and the covenant to which the UK is part carefully stop short of calling upon national authorities to make abortion services generally available." The judgment also made it clear that the recommendations of the UN committee were not binding, saying some of the committees go further down that path, but as a member of international law, the authority of their recommendations is slight. Today, let me say clearly that I regret that instead of listening to the overwhelming majority of voices of the people of Northern Ireland, politicians in Westminster chose to bow to the will of an unelected committee the authority of whose recommendations are slight. What adds immeasurably to my regret that the voice of the Northern Irish people has not been listened to is that the new abortion provision also fails to listen to and fails to protect the dignity of women like the remarkable Heidi Crowder. Heidi is a young woman whose courageous campaigning on behalf of individuals like herself who have Down syndrome is provoking a great deal of soul searching. As she has observed, the new regulations governing abortion in Northern Ireland, and I quote, "tell people like me that I should not exist." She is a woman who has experienced harm because of what regulations like these say about the way our society views those with disabilities. And might I remind you at this point, for all the claims made that this regime was put in place to ensure abortion provision in Northern Ireland satisfies the requirements of the CEDAW committee, in fact, this new provision completely disregards its requirements that legislation must not perpetuate discrimination, which is the blatant effect of these regulations. They say if a baby is able-bodied, that it would be illegal to terminate them beyond 24 weeks gestation, but that if a baby has a non-fatal disability like Heidi, then they are not worthy of the same protection and can have their life taken from them at any time from point of viability until birth. That sends out the message loud and clear that the lives of those with non-fatal disabilities are worthy of less protection than those who are able-bodied. Abortion up to birth in cases of non-fatal disability is legal practice in GB, but their legislation was drawn up in 1990, and our attitudes, thankfully, towards disability has moved on. The Disability Rights Commission, now the Equality and Human Rights Commission, said this provision is offensive to many people. It reinforces negative stereotypes of disability and is incompatible with valuing disability and non-disability equally. I also must express my huge concern that, unlike in Great Britain, the law British MPs foisted on us affords no means of protecting women from coercive abortion. We have been made well aware during the COVID-19 pandemic that there has been a rising number of women experiencing harm in the very place that they should feel safe. Domestic abuse is not something we can ignore. And in 2019, The Independent reported on this particular topic and worryingly prevalent form of harm that 1 in 7 UK women had experienced reproductive coercion either to keep or abort a pregnancy. And our laws permit for this. We also see in Northern Ireland, the United Nations Population Fund State of World Population 2020 report estimates that there are more than 140 million missing women as a result of pre- and postnatal sex selection. This is a horrifying figure, more than twice the population of the entire UK, and is both an indictment in its own right, but also leads to devastating further abuses in the places where this is most prevalent. In Great Britain, in January of this year, the government reiterated that abortion on the basis of sex is illegal. But because abortion is only legal under the specific grounds provided by the Abortion Act 1967, none of which is that the baby would be the wrong sex. However, when parliamentarians forced the regulations on us from Westminster, they allowed for abortion up to 12 weeks for any reason. And now in Northern Ireland and right across the United Kingdom, we can actually determine the sex of your baby by 10 weeks. Therefore, opening this up to sex selection, something that is absolutely abhorrent in this day and age. Madam President, this House regrets that for 719 babies in Northern Ireland, they have been denied the right to life. The most basic human right surely is the right to life. And in all of this, both lives matters. We as a society have now more rights for cats, dogs, whales than we do the silent cry of the unborn child. And therefore, I will be supporting the proposition tonight. Thank you.